Viviane. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the River's Edge. I am your host, Kelly Rivers, and Sammy Rivers is in the house. He will be asking all the hard-hitting questions today for Viviane Chauvet, who I am excited to have on board today. My friend Thomas Lipka said, you have to interview Viviane. I had not met her or seen any of her videos yet, so I'm excited to have her here. So Viviane is originally from Canada. She is internationally recognized for her inspirational life journey as an advanced Arcturian hybrid. Viviane's healing practice and teachings inspire starseeds and lightworkers to live in universal oneness as sovereign divine essence of light. She is known as a multidimensional frequency healer, galactic ambassador, trans voice channel, and Arcturus High Priestess. Viviane has worked as a hybrid consultant on J3 Film award-winning second documentary, Extraordinary, The Seeding, and will be featured in their third upcoming documentary of the series. Today, she is the radio host of Ascending with the Arcturians on Transformation Talk Radio and the producer and co-host of the Infinite Star Connections podcast. Viviane has been genetically engineered by the Arcturians as a unique hybrid prototype. Her healing abilities are encoded at a DNA level to create quantum shift in the Earth's matrix grids. Our work is designed to restore the original divine soul blueprint and heal fragmentation for light body ascension. After moving to Arizona in 2006, she went through a series of profound awakening and energetic resets. Over several years, Viviane was trained by the Arcturians in the arts of holographic and intergalactic frequency healing. She pursued her studies with many teachers and became certified in Crystalline Soul Healing, Unity Field Healing, Soul Genesis, ThetaHealing, and QHHT. Through her work in quantum energy medicine, Viviane has developed the Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing modality to attain spiritual and soul unification beyond the third dimensional matrix reality. Owner and founder of Infinite Healing from the Stars, she also serves as an emissary for the Galactic Federation and works in close partnership with various interstellar delegations, including the Lyrans, Sirians, Andromedans, Pleiadians, and so forth. Arcturians vibrate at the seventh dimensional plane of existence and are one of the oldest, most enlightened star civilizations known to this quadrant. Rarely do they incarnate in lower dimensional physical state. Due to the urgency of the Earth ascension timeline, Viviane has agreed to embody an Arcturian human physical form as a direct anchor for her interstellar lineage. We are here to oversee the planetary re-ascension process and provide enlightened guidance on people's journey. Woo, that was a lot. Welcome. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Super, super cool. Thank you so much for being here.
I am absolutely thrilled to be here, Kelly, and I know it's going to be a mouthful, but at the same time, I feel like it gives a summary of, an idea of really of who I am, the work we're doing, so the ongoing work that my collective Arcturians have been doing for millennia, whether it's for this earth and other places. So it's truly a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You can thank Thomas for having both of us.
Yeah, right. Love Thomas. He's an amazing human being, an amazing soul.
I forgot to tell him I was even doing this with you. He's the reason that I got to meet you, and I should text him real quick and tell him to tune in. Do that real quick. Sorry, people. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We have Laura Lakeside Laura. They already did a video today, so she's tuning in again. Thank you for joining. Angela, Brenda, Auntie Nellie. Exciting. I love it. So I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell my friend Thomas to join in right now because I forgot to do that. I'm live. Okay. He can figure out where. Surely. Okay. So I wanted to talk about moving from 3D to 5D. How do we let go of all those behaviors, addictions, patterns that no longer serve us, that some of us have had my whole life. I'm like, okay, I'm over it. I want to let it go and I want to ascend. Why is it so difficult sometimes? And how do we do that? That's necessary in order to ascend, right? Is to let go of all the old 3D patterning and programming.
Well, absolutely. Great question, Kelly. I like to use an analogy to illustrate the points of the importance of letting go of old patterns, structures, belief systems, attachments. So think of it as an airplane. Let's say that you are the most skilled pilot and you have this amazing airplane. You've been upgrading, you've been working on latest technology, the whole nine yards. Okay, you can visualize that. And then you say, okay, I am ready to take off. And my goal is that I'm reaching higher altitude every time. But if you do that and you forget to detach or to unhook certain little cords that grounds you back on the tarmac, now what happened is that your airplane take off and you feel like there's something is stuck. You go like, what am I doing? I have done the upgrades, I meditate, I breathe, I did all of this. This is something holding me back. I feel like I'm unable to reach of the level of consciousness, the level of frequency, the level of, reaching to my goal, my gift, my ability. What is it that's holding me back? So this is why I use the airplane. So it's easy to think about, well, yeah, of course, I need to come back, ground again, unhook those little cords, and then I can take off, right? Like an airplane. So it's the same phenomenon. If you look at the three-dimensional old matrix paradigm that we have been evolving in for a very, very long time, well, their form of attachment, whether it's archetypal patterns from societal expectations, family core values. People have been exposed to different level of faith, to religion, to core beliefs, whether it's to a mentor. It can be also teachers at school and so forth. So the actual institution, education, society, structures is designed also to create those patterns, values. We put a lot of stickers: good, bad, what's wrong, what's right, am I good enough, am I,
Right.
strong enough, and so forth. So what does it do is that your subconscious, that's where the trick is. Your subconscious register all of this and create what we call a little formula, a little equation that A plus B plus C, we're going to make it E. And then right there, it starts to influence core values, your belief system, the way you talk, the way you perceive, your filters, and
Hmm.
also your behavior and the choice. We always ask people, when we work with people, we always ask, what portion of you or one aspect of you is asking a question, and based on what filter or what root? And of course, oftentimes people will say, well, I'm not sure. That's a great question. I usually don't stop to ask myself right in this moment, what aspect of myself is running the show? What aspect is asking the question or getting stress or getting anxiety? When you think about it, Kelly, you can start to really connect within you to say, okay, I'm going to step back. I'm going to ask a higher portion of myself, a higher version of myself, and says, show me the truth. Reveal the truth to me. Let me understand what potential attachments, investment, pattern, known and unknown, may be kind of leading the way or standing in the way from you right now. And you might be surprised what may come, right? Does that make sense?
So what if you ask, what if someone has an addiction to drugs, just pick a drug, and when they go to do it, they want to know. So what do they ask? Because they do it all the time. They don't want to do these drugs. So if someone does it every day, how do they become aware of that? How to know what the root cause is and how to stop it?
Well, again, it's a great question. It depends on what level of drugs. If we talk about, heavy duty drugs or pharmaceutical drugs, maybe it can be in the form of painkiller. It can be in
Yeah.
the form of, taking a pill to sleep, to help with anxiety, for example.
Mhm.
So one thing I've noticed, because there's so many changes on the planet, people are becoming much more conscious about what is still getting in the way. So relying on drugs, whether it's for health, calming the nerves, whether it's to sleep, whether it's to, lose weight and all of this,
Yeah.
there's a form of codependency that is triggering, and people feel it, and they feel more sluggish, they feel more like less like sharp, more very less connected. And so that will be very obvious that there is an attachment to it. So ask yourself, what I would do is that, let's say that my stone here is the bottle of prescription that you were given for whatever reason, okay? Hold it in your left hand to your heart and ask your heart, ask your higher self, how does this bottle, this medication, this drug is really serving me? Do I really need this right now? And let also your body respond to you. And after time, what we do is it's create an automatic response when you're allowing the intelligence of your soul, the intelligence of your body to get involved in the process to really realize that this little bottle here has created side effects. And you start to observe what changed in your behavior. You may feel like you're less present, a bit more foggy, mentally, less patience, less quality of sleep, appetite fluctuation emotionally. You may feel like maybe on a roller coaster. So always allow your inner intelligence to start the process, to start the process to identify what is the lesson? What is it that I'm learning from this? I'm using again the bottle of drugs that we talked about. So an addiction, if you decode the addiction, when you look behind the word addiction, it's a label. It's allowing yourself to understand that there's a hook, an attachment. There's something that lets you there, whether it's through chronic pain. Okay, what is the chronic pain is telling you? What part of the body is in? What is the history behind it? So it's why it's called the decoding of through the label addiction and starting to go backwards. Is how did it start in the first place? What is the point of origin?
What if you don't know? What if you don't get the answers?
There's always an answer. There's always an answer. I never saw anyone says yes. And people are knowing it because if you come to the point of an addiction, it will be either, let's say it's cigarettes. Maybe let's say addiction is smoking, okay?
Yeah.
Which is a very common point, right? If you look at asking, how does smoking make you feel? How do you using cigarette for? That's a point. There's an answer that the people are very conscious about. It makes me feel better. It's my point of relaxation. I get a lot of stress at work. When I smoke, I relax. Okay, so utilizing an addiction to smoking as a form of escapism to stress. Then you have to look into what is the, and then this is where the true dialogue begins. But there is always a conscious answer. Whether it's from, well, I grew up, everybody, my family was smoking, so I started it and I just got hooked on it. Okay, so that's family resemblance. There's a mirror there. The answer is already there at that point, and that's where the true decoding can begin when it comes to addictions.
No, so I do agree with that. I didn't mean to not agree earlier. I do agree that you always have an answer like, well, why do you do it? Because I want to escape. I don't want to deal with life, right? Whatever it is, the behavior, the addiction, whatever it is. But then just because you know that doesn't mean you're now healing. You have to, first of all, you have to want to stop doing whatever it is you're doing, right? And then number two, does it just take discipline to let go of these 3D habits and patterns and just keep being disciplined, telling yourself not to, just like being on a diet, you can't do that anymore?
That's a good point. The cannot, do not, try, and should are really great sabotage way that the subconscious have no recognition for. So let's go back to an addiction, whether it's addiction to a food, smoking, taking a glass of wine in a different ways. Any form of labeling around addiction is to see what is it replacing it. Is it replacing affection, self-worth, self-protection, relaxation, escapism from an aspect of a reality that feels heavy? And especially right now, Kelly, look at all the changes. I know that you had Simon Parks on your show recently, and if you look at someone like him or other teachers on everyone who say we're looking at major global changes. So of course there will be a form of, I need to relax, I need to let go from all of this. So where do I go to? Do we meditate? Do I allow myself to have a cigarette or go back into addiction? So always think yourself about, how does it really serve me? Whatever addiction it takes to form that label. And the word addiction really is a big three-dimensional connotation of being hooked onto something. Something is attaching me to a pattern, and that pattern is a replacement for something else. So what is a substitution for you? Like, for example, I've seen that working with people where I'll go back to smoking, where, well, growing up, the only time I could have with my mother is when she was smoking, even though my eyes were burning with the smoke, even though I could cough, that was my moment with her. So what a cigarette becomes? Nurturing feminine mother energy for that person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From that moment, it says, okay, can we start by just replacing the object called cigarette with another aspect that will still feel and feed your heart and help your heart to heal your soul, bringing in something much more fulfilling, meaningful. Because any addiction, the question we have for you is that, does it give you any form of empowerment? Not a false expression of empowerment or impression of it, but is it giving you a true sense of empowerment? The question is no, and I can guarantee you, within people, they may say not out loud if you're not ready for it, but in their heart, the answer will be no, it doesn't give me empowerment, really. It's just a substitution. That's where the process starts. And that's what we call opening the door. There's an opening that we're cracking the shell already. And then from there it says, okay, let's work on this to moving from a paradigm of attachments, investment, substitution to a place of pure empowerment, self-assurance, self-love, self-acceptance, and allowing the beauty of you being unfolding, discovering who you are, what talent did you bring, what is your passion, your inspiration, your divine spark within you, because there's much more to you than a label that was put according to something that has happened.
Right,
Does
right.
that
So
resonate?
you acknowledge it, become aware of it, and then you replace it with something that gives you those feelings that you were getting from whatever the thing was, the habit, the behavior, the addiction. There's so much shame around all of that too, especially addiction, that word. So like, can some of these things come in from past lives? People bring that in, these addictions from past lives?
It can, absolutely. I mean, think about who we really are, Kelly. We are essence of divine light. So your soul has lived a multitude of lifetime in different shape and form throughout the multiverse. So oftentimes, especially lives who are attached to this earth plane, there are a lot of unresolved soul patterns, karmic residuals, soul contract, binding energies, and so forth. So can it be that, for example, in a past life, somebody died in a house that was caught on fire, and the addiction today can be to say, I need to drink. I constantly have to be in a state of, alter state with either alcohol or others. It can be other form of addiction. But again, we are being mindful to utilize certain labeling, because in the third dimensional reality, words have connotation and power, and just using the word addiction, it's also keeping you at a lower frequency. I recognize, for instance, replacing it with, I recognize I have an attachment to. And this attachment, it's coming from an unknown place. It can be past life, it can be what upbringing, traumatic experiences, something that has triggered a fragmentation in you, that you need to replace it with a substitution or something else that seems to be providing temporarily a level of satisfaction. Same thing with shopping. I heard that a lot. People go shopping,
Yeah.
men and women, and no label. We're not targeting any group here. It can be men or women. It doesn't matter, really, really. But shopping, what do? Is a temporary level of joy, satisfaction, like, whoa, I'm taking care of myself. I'm going with the girl, I'm going with the boys, I'm bringing my daughters, I'm bringing my son. We're going shopping and I'm going to get new shoes, I'm getting this. When you come home, you feel like fulfilled, it's been relaxing, the stress is released. And then until that pair of shoes become old in your wardrobe, and then the needs come back again and you go back to the cycle again. I have observed that many times and I feel it's fascinating. So people who are hooked on shopping, whoever they are, bless their hearts, because it's allowing themselves to be trapped in a sub-reality within a reality, and they go back and forth, back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
So
it's a quick fix. Then you go back to where you were.
it's a quick fix. It's also more primal energy based on material, based on what is the concept of fun. Again, there's a lot of concept label that we are shifting from. What does fun means? What does the word joy mean? What is being more fulfilled means? We talk about your friend Thomas, our friend Thomas, and I know I can feel him. He would say, my fulfillment is to watch my grandson play baseball and win a game, because that is really hard connection.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you see the difference, the quality. What it does, it generates a higher frequency. By doing that, he's allowing himself to raise his consciousness and also allow himself to be in a higher vibrational state, as opposed to a lower state that is just a very temporary feeling and it's just go around and around in a circle.
So what do you see going from 3D to 5D? So 4D is where you face I just did a video on this, 3D, 4D, and 5D a few days ago. So 3D is full duality, having a human experience. 4D is where you face your issues, right? That's when you face the dark night of the soul and part of the awakening process. Would you say that's accurate? And then you move into 5D after that?
It's a way to look at it. It's a way of looking at a timeline.
So the question is, when I asked this the other day too, is there a tipping point where do you need to work on every issue you have, or there's a tipping point where you've worked enough and now you can ascend, or do you need to work on all of your?
That's a very great question, Kelly. So again, this is a quantification of looking at the requirements that it needs to be able to evolve naturally into a fifth-dimensional plane of reality. Oftentimes, Kelly, what we have observed is that there will be a theme, or there will be what we call main roots, whether it's pattern belief systems, attachments, investment. Usually we can identify 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 main roots. Think of it like a tree, okay? When you nurture and you work at a root level, it can address hundreds of branches, right? It makes sense, that image. Well, it's the same thing right now. Is there's a little bit of pressure put on people to say, oh, in order to get to the 5D, it's almost like, how many tickets do I have to get to be able to bet on board? In order to get there, I have to work on a multitude of aspects of myself, and it feels endless. It's almost feel like there's a lot of work to be done. That's why we invite you to release that concept and allow yourself to evolve. For example, return to the simplicity of living. Where do you invest your energy the most? What is the quality of your thought forms? How do you live on a day-to-day? What state of consciousness are you in? This is something you can have absolutely 100% control of on your day-to-day. You can be washing the dishes and still be in a state of consciousness and feel everyone in your house, feel anyone. You can be talking to your angels and washing your dishes. It's really how we are living. We are returning in a more pristine way of living. And then you can ask with your higher self, your guardians, your spirit guides, those that you're working with, especially with those who are star seed, working with your star families. At this point of time, I wish to resolve any aspect, whether it's from my past lives, any form of on unresolved issues, anything that I need to resolve on this point, I am open and I remain teachable and adaptable to be able to heal them and resolve them. And the beauty about this is not about going back and living back in the trenches of the trauma and remembering everything. It's be open to recognize that at this point of time, we are being giving the space to resolve our shadow aspects, whatever they are. And again, after time, there will be very specific roots. And those roots are so powerful that can address a multitude of little residuals at the same time. For example, I see a lot of unresolved issue that comes from childhood, whether it's abuse, whether it's from growing up with a narcissistic parent, mother or father, whether it's growing up with an abusive sibling. What happened is that after time, that soul group were together in past life, and then they're coming back, change their roles, and says, okay, we're here to resolve what we may have created in another lifetime. So after time, that will create fragmentation. And what happened is that in that fragmentation, the person will develop certain behavior patterns about lack of self-worth, going into addiction, whether it's drugs, whether it's just even food, whether it's very, very being criticized about themselves. So there's a lot of multitude of ripple effect that being coming from a space of abuse will have an impact. So we need to look at healing the core soul wounds so the person can come back into blossoming into their own unity consciousness. The soul is repairing itself to return to its point of origin. That makes sense.
What if no one ever gets there? What if someone tries and they just never get there?
Well, if that's really, really the case, and I trust that that's absolutely very minimum, but if that's really the case, we have to look higher. That means that the higher soul at the higher level, through their own soul design or their soul blueprint, it is possible that that soul understood that this lifetime was not designed for them to ascend, that they have more to go through about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes we have some comments here. I want to see, I was going to ask you, I asked you about the past life stuff and what role that played. I wanted to see, do you really need to go into past life regression to heal some of this stuff? You can just go into meditation, right, and heal it. You don't need to go do any past life regressions in order to heal what's affecting you today.
That's true. Think of it this way, whether it's past life regression, Reiki, energy work, holographic work, whatever path you choose, it's there to support you. Do you have the power to do this? Oh, yes. Remember that just your DNA alone, it's an archive of infinite knowledge and encoding right now. And I know that we are reaching that point where we'll be able to decode our own DNA. In the meantime, you're absolutely right on, Kelly, is ask for help. We all have very specific team of light that were with prior to this incarnation. You have a spiritual team that helped you choose your life, choose the perfect soul design and your divine timing you came back into the planet for. So at this point of time, it's important to go inward. Breathe to your heart. Open the gateway of your heart. Feel the gateway, the matrix of your soul, and ask your higher self or your supreme self, I wish to heal any aspect of soul fragments at this point of time, known and unknown, throughout infinity. Help me to understand, help me to heal them, and only extracting the wisdom, the knowledge, and everything that your soul required to perfect itself. That's what we do. We're constantly in a state of perfecting the self in the higher form and expanding into our light.
And what about the people that are so, they buy into whatever the government tells them and they are really asleep in those terms and they just don't seem to be waking up at all? Like they're getting the jab, the vaccine, and they're just asleep at the wheel. What's going to, maybe they're just not meant to ascend in this life and they because there's so many that are just so deeply asleep. They're just controlled by the government.
It's true. It is true. And we witness them. Every time I meet them, whether it's in a grocery store, whether it's a conference, you know what I do, Kelly? Is I always talk to their third eye. I talk to their heart center. I speak and talk and connect to their inner divine spark, and always ask that the highest form of assistance and awakening possible and transformation possible for them at this time occur. And then at that level, another message I got from there, and they did say at this point, there is a potential. Remember, everything is a potential. There's no prediction here. The potential, because the timeline are constantly evolving, but there's a potential. Then 1/3 of the population as a form of a group of souls who understood prior to their incarnation that they were here to learn, and they will continue on their form of evolution through the same similar third-dimensional or even borderline four-dimensional plane of existence or matrix device, matrix reality, because they knew that they will reach ascension, but not in that particular timeline. And so what I do is I hold them in the highest light, because ultimately there's still essence of divine light. It's just very engaged, very involved. Let's just say that the Halloween costume they pull on, the identity, they're holding on to it because that's their frame of reference. If you take it away, they're losing a point of reference.
Right. I thought that was something in your background. It's actually my background. Can you hear that hollering in the back? That's a dog
okay.
outside.
We love animals.
Yeah, Sammy, I'm surprised he's not barking. So what do you see as the timeline being for us going to 5D? Like all of us in the planet and everything going into 5D.
Well, we are already in a timeline right now. We are in a very specific trajectory. If you look at all the greatest prophecy on the planet, all the Aboriginal tribes, the elders, whether it's the tribes from Australia, around Urulu, whether it's the Native Americans, Navajo, Hopi, Zunis, and others, there's a very point of convergence right now where it has been foretold for a very long time that there will be a split in the timeline, or they call, the convergence of the timeline. This is something that we have monitored for a long time. We knew that the greatest potential were heading in the form of the timeline of the ascension. So we are in a very distinct acceleration of light right now. And this is why you, me, everyone listening, everyone will be discovering this incredible time together. It's about really be anchoring into your light. Choose consciously more than ever that I'm here to serve. I am a power of light. And what you do is think of it like a Christmas light. As each light turns on, that formed a whole tree, right? It's not just one light here and there, or just some leading ones. Those who speak the most, who have the highest rank on the internet and YouTube. It's about you. It's about all of us. We are returning into living. We can implement living in the 5D right now. We don't have to wait till we reach 10, 20, 15 years, or we're getting there. Yes, we are. But remember that the 3D time linear construct is fading away. We're realigning to more universal time where everything coexists, everything is an imprint of reality now. So what we're doing is that we're simply aligning ourselves with that matrix reality that we call the fifth-dimensional plane. And what is that plane is about, Kelly? It's a plane of collective consciousness. It's returning to living in that symbiotic way of relating to another. I see you like you see me, and I understand that my individual expression has an impact on you, and vice versa, as well as the ecosystem, including a celestial body, very alive and intelligent, that we call the Earth, Gaia, Terra. It's all in that interconnections.
Right. I am. Oh my God, I have a subscriber in here. He loves to talk about flat Earth. He wants to know if you think the Earth is flat. Can you see that comment? He's like, ask her if she believes in flat Earth. Do you believe the Earth is flat?
Okay, that's a great question, Mark. Thank you for first tuning in. I'm spreading positive energy and good vibes. Well, what you do just by spreading positive energy and good vibes is really positive. What does it mean, a flat Earth, to you? That it's a one-dimensional reality that could be considered as a flat Earth? What does it mean to you to be on a flat Earth? To us, it has no connotation. We just want to understand, what is your conception of it? Where are you coming from with this information that we are on a flat
Other
Earth?
people say it's round, and he says it's flat.
I feel very neutral about this. I think that there's more behind it. If we take the concept to understand that any planet, any solar system, any life, ultimately we are come from the one singularity of the mind of Supreme Creator, and we are evolving in a one dimension that has been fragmented into holographic reality. Well, I would say anything is possible.
His mind is open. That's good.
That's wonderful. Bless you, Mark, pretty much. Follow your truth, follow your light.
He's always talking about flat Earth on the videos. Okay. The reason I was asking about when we go into 5D, like in terms of what will our day-to-day life, how it will be impacted, like financial systems changing, the whole big corporate world changing, like what's it going to look like moving forward? How do you see those changes? Do you see those things, or is that too much detail? Like, what do you see over the next, I don't know, like a year or so, how long it will, what changes we can expect?
We can expect, like we are reading right now, it's a complete reversal thought system. So if you think about moving into a higher level of reality and living in oneness, or closer to a oneness, to source, and going back to the way of living, look at the way souls were interacting and living back in Atlantis or even Lemuria. Okay, if you look at that, their entire infrastructure was a reflection of the evolutionary state and the conscious state they were in. They were utilizing crystal generators in form of energy and source, and also using a very powerful master crystal generator as interconnector and interdimensional portal that will connect with other consoles of light, and they will go everywhere. So it's the same thing, is that we have to think that we need to step out of this false matrix that comes with institution, educational system, financial, the way we have to work all our lives, earn money to eat, to shelter ourselves.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorites is live, work hard all your life, and then when you reach in retirement, then you'll enjoy a good life and you'll be able to travel and be happy.
And then you die.
That's insanity.
I know, right? You got to work 8 to 5 your whole life, and then when you retire and you're old and beat up and you haven't taken care of yourself and you're too tired and sick to travel, now you can go enjoy life.
Yeah, precisely. That is a complete fabricated paradigm, old pattern, and we talk about letting go of pattern. That's an old pattern that we've been so ingrained with. So the educational system, it's also ingrained into the same thing. What are we teaching our kids? Obey, listen, apply yourself so you can choose a career. You go for it, get a lot of debt, go to work, pay your debt all your life, and then you retire and it says, congratulations, you live a fulfilled life. I'm like, okay, I must be really an ET.
You're a hybrid. You wouldn't understand these crazy.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
It's totally a compliment. It is crazy. It is insane that is the way we live our lives, though. That's what I mean. Like, we want to move away from that go, 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 work, work, work. I used to really like Tony Robbins, but he is all about, and there's so many people like him. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I know.
Tony Robbins. He's always like that man never stops. He works probably 15 hours a day, and 7 days a week. He doesn't believe in taking time off. He thinks if you love what you do, you should never stop doing it. And I'm like, screw that.
Yeah, no, there's
yeah, like I'm not into the go, no. But
no.
but it's been that way to make money. If you don't, unless you're born into a lot of money, you need to make enough money to live on. And like, so, I mean, you do need to work, and people have worked at jobs they don't necessarily love in order to pay the bills.
True. But again, we look at it as that. Did you come to this planet, go all to this trouble, so to speak, to answer the call of helping an Earth, an entire civilization in the midst of ascension, to come here and miserable in a job to pay bills? Now, I understand the need to comply with this still, for now, a very old structure. I have bills to pay too. You know, it's something I have learned. So I turn it into my mind into a monopoly game. So what I do, I tell my team in the universe, okay, I'll give you a deal. I will be very dedicated to my mission, and I'm here first and foremost to uplift life on this planet and create powerful, profound quantum shifts. Here's my requirements. Abundance and financial, it's a given. Food, absolutely a basic. And I'm always living in a comfortable way because there's no need to put my body in harm's way. So I have established my basic all the time. And that's what we're doing, is that we are transcending those primal way of living that I need to compromise an aspect of soul joy and an aspect of my light in order to comply with an employer or a company based still in this old pattern of the 3D dimensional, so I can provide for my family. Now, providing for yourself or for your others, it's very noble. That is very much selfless and being of service. And there are other ways. And the moment you declare to yourself, universe, okay, it's time for me now to have a happier, more significant way of earning the necessity above and beyond. So we need to already retrain ourselves, retrain our brain, retrain our way of thinking of what is it you're manifesting within the quantum field. Because remember that the quantum field, the imprint, everything coexists. So we're bringing that imprint into three-dimensional physical manifestation.
Yeah, so someone was raised with a program of lack. You were raised in a family, you never have enough money, you never get what you want in life. No, I mean, it's a grind every day. And then you grow up and you become an adult and you're still working the grind. And it's like, it's really hard to let go of those deep embedded programs that you grew up with. I mean, it's a work every day to change it. And when you catch yourself and that mindset, is like to change it, to be really self-aware and to change it as soon as you realize that.
Yeah,
and it builds over time, right?
Yes, yes. And I have every faith in people of all ages, of all background. I see people in their 70s awakening to their truth. I see orbs every day. Is that normal? Yes, it's a new normal. Congratulations. I see the young soul questioning more. But what if I don't want to go that route? I says, okay, well, what is in alignment with you? I'm not sure yet. Let's explore that. I see people after working for 20 years, 30 years, they go, I always felt a calling to do something else. I've always felt I'm a healer. Okay, let's bridge that. How can you bring that bridging? It says, I'm here as a healer. So let's look at what being a healer means to you, because that's a big umbrella. Being a healer, you can be through your words, that coaching, to that very show right now. It's very healing because it addresses directly the core essence of multitude of traps that we keep ourselves in. So looking at the plan, we are returning to finally start to live more according to soul design. And when you start doing this, even though you may feel that your soul purpose may be still unclear or unknown, it's like a prism of light. It's going to continue to evolve. And yet, absolutely, your mind is a very, very powerful mechanism of co-creation. And even on my own radio show, Ascending with the Arcturians, we had a show just around the power of your mind. So what you mentioned, Kelly, earlier in terms of if you grew up in a family, dysfunctional, abusive, mentality of lack, mentality of know your place, obey, work hard all your life, you'll be rewarded, then ask yourself later on in life, okay, I understood, I learned from it. Am I here to reproduce word for word, step by step, pattern by pattern, the exact same thing? Or are you here to be a pioneer to even your lineage? And Kelly, I'll push it a little bit further. I've seen multiple of times working with people where a soul will be born in a specific bloodline or a lineage, and you can tell the soul it's like landing a spark on a very old wire. They're here to heal their entire lineage, even to the ancestors, past, present, and future, because they come here to be a paradigm shifters. And I mean to say, I choose according to what I am getting, my passion, my talent, and I'm here to live in pure abundance. This is my birthright. Where you may have been taught all your life, you were born for a small bread, and that's one just crawl me through my skin. I'm like, what does a small bread means with a lot of butter on it? It's like, it makes no sense. So think about it. Are you here to reproduce and mimic the exact same thing that you saw was brought onto you, pass on to values, speech, behavioral patterns, experiences, who are here to transmute them and understand that you've come as a pioneer of light, a very powerful light in this life, and make a difference. And make a difference meaning that you may be also daring to follow your passions. And following your passion says, well, it's against what my family values are, or what I've been taught, or what I was told. But you know what? I'm setting myself free. I said, thank you for the learning. Thank you for the wisdom. I'm moving forward. And it's just incredible the ripple effect that it's going to create. And that's why we are here. And I am very hopeful. I have every faith in my heart in every soul on this planet, because we are finally more and more returning to that state.
What do you think about different healing energies like Reiki or sound healing? And what does that do for you? Does that just put you in a place where you can be more in a meditative state? And or because no one can heal for you. So what is actually happening when someone does Reiki on you or any other kind of energy healing?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kelly, because healing, again, it's a big umbrella. So they will have different avenues, different expression of it. Some people feel drawn to the Reiki because they feel like it's the best way for them to be conduit of healing, to the mantra, to the signs, and then this is how they feel that they can be of service. Others will use sound because they're sensitive to the clairaudience, and the tonality or the wavelength of the instrument create waves in the body that can attune the clients. Others will work in terms of just transmission of energy healing or more on a conscious level. And there's a multitude of modality. So think of it as a multitude facets of what healing is about. So depending on what state of consciousness, belief system, your relationship to yourself, your relationship to your body, and relationship to the universe, well, you may feel more comfortable with something that feels a bit more down to earth, like Reiki, or something that will feel more like resonance field, like sound. Or it can be also doing subconscious work, opening the archive of your subconscious to extract those roots and allowing also getting more, downloads. The starseeds will feel drawn to someone like me because it's more intergalactic, and that really put them in that state of connections that open up their own internal micro tunnel of direct communications and opening the upper chakras while they're remaining balanced and grounded here. So it will depend on what are you drawn to that feel at this point of time, what we call the blueprint of your healing in that space will be more in resonance for you. And then from there, you will evolve because there's different level of healing. Do you have the power to do this? Of course we do. And this is why we're returning to learn to understand that your body is vibrating and constantly feeling energy from your environment. Your body speaks in the language of energy, the language of light. Your body will reflect back to you where there's a need, a better, greater needs behind the scenes, so to speak, whether it's from the subconscious, emotional field, whether it's past life related. Maybe you're an empath and therefore you're very sensitive or hypersensitive to the frequency and the variation of people around you, their emotion, their thoughts, where they're pushing into the collective consciousness to their thoughts because they're very undisciplined. So monitoring your thoughts is also very important because your thoughts generate a lot of energy, waves and waves and waves of it. So it will really is, I always says there's always a healer, a practitioner for everyone, depending of where you stand on your journey now, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I've never done Reiki or done any of those types of healing works. No. Well, I have done some. I just can't remember the name of all of them. It's been a while. I mostly worked with a life coach back in the day and did a lot of emotional healing and was working on a lot of past life stuff, a lot of childhood trauma stuff. Yeah. So it was good. So now whenever stuff comes up for me, I'm just aware of it. I acknowledge it. And then when I'm in meditation, I work on it. But I'm really good about, I notice it and I don't let it, I don't sit and dwell in it. I'm able to let it go now. Well, that takes practice though. I wasn't doing that from the get-go.
I bet you. But it's like I always say, it's like going to the gym. Going to the gym. It takes practice. And then the next thing you know, you start exercising your own inner abilities to receive more, listen. And you're right, is again, attachments. And I've seen people holding on to the same stories. So what they do is they lock themselves in that imprint of the past. That event is locking them in. And then they're bringing that back over and over, overlapping that past event in their present.
Yeah, and they never let it go because they still relive that same event. But exactly. It's from self-awareness. They're never going to let it go, right? I mean, they have to want to change. And if you don't want to, then you're just going to relive the same miserable experience over and over.
Exactly. Well, ask yourself, what is it that I refuse to let go of? Is it something that you feel you're going to lose? Or if you let go, what more is there for you? Or what gain can you have? So think about the potential of letting go of something in order to create a space for something even better coming in. So just some food for thoughts here.
Okay, Angela says, any info on bloodlines? Both my parents are O negative. I'm O negative too. And I've heard that O negative have been sought out for some specific reasons. Do you know anything about bloodlines?
Thank you, Angela, for tuning in and for your question. I'm really grateful for you. So everyone on the planet has their role. Bloodlines are not my specialties. I'm not here to analyze them. However, I'm here for other purposes. However, what I can tell you about the bloodline is that for certain extraterrestrial species, the bloodline is everything because it will carry a very specific lineage, and some ET beings are very, very keen in preserving the quality of the bloodlines. Being an Arcturians, to us, it's not something that it's beyond our realm. We have no attachment to that physical component. We're looking more in terms of the soul level, who you are, who you have been, and also the divine spark in you and how you're evolving. But I know it's very important to some other extraterrestrial or interstellar beings. They are very keen on the bloodlines. Whether it's to passing on certain gene, which means abilities, which means also certain faculties that is passed on, and they're looking for those genes, and then this is how they carry that out. But Arcturians this is something that's non-existent in our realm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of talk around that. I don't know the deal. I don't. And Mark has a question here about Easter. I've never heard this before. Why are there eggs on Easter? It's a demon holiday, and the egg is a servant. I have never heard that. Have
I have
you?
no information on that. This is beyond, again, my purpose is not to look in terms of what holiday may be nefast or negative or positive. Unfortunately, I have no information about that, but many blessings to you nonetheless.
I like this comment, where we were here to learn how to receive and give unconditional love. I love it.
Oh, beautiful, beautifully said. Yes, we are here to return to our ability to give and receive and be the embodiment of unconditional love. Indeed.
Indeed. Day by day, people, day by day.
Yes.
Yeah, I grew up in a family that was all believed all about lack. Everything's lack. Don't have enough, can't afford it, can't do it, can't. Like, oh, I'm over it. Okay, I was just saying, okay, you guys have any questions? Does anyone have anything, pattern or behavior they want to let go of that they haven't been able to let go of, that they're having a hard time with? Or anything that you guys do that really works for you in letting go of those things? I would like to hear it.
Well, yes, absolutely. And one thing I would like to invite everyone is let go of those words, satanic and all of it. Understand that this third dimensional reality contain a lot of heavy grids or sub illusionary paradigm has been ingrained into it. Let it go. I would really lovingly suggest to redirect your light, your research, your energy in terms of how can I be of service to make the difference? How can I bring back the paradise of the divine blueprint of this earth? How can I change and transform myself and return more investing in terms of rediscovering you rather than what it says on YouTube? And there's an overflow of information right now. It's like I call it the super buffet stages where we can get overloaded and
Yeah.
understand that the human brain is unable to process that much information. So be mindful of what you accept into your inner reality, because you are unconsciously feeding that reality that we're here to dismantle and heal. So just some wisdom here with love, of course.
I like that. Yeah, there's a lot of people who do focus on the evil that exists, and just instead of like the direction that we're going in. And a lot of religions are all about Satan and hell, and you're going to burn in hell. And it's like, oh, I never understood that. It's like, let's focus on where you want to go and stay strong, and you're not going to worry about some evil being attacking you when you stand in your light and stay connected to source.
Stay connected. Remember that first and foremost, you're a divine essence of light. This is a big part of my presence here on the planet, is I'm here to help to move that paradigm in a return of a state of purity. And fear, it's an energy that was put in place by the negative part, the dark energy. So it's a realm that I choose no longer to give any power. And by doing that is that we are reunited. Let's unite together and send out powerful waves of light, because the light, obviously, yeah, your dog always, there we go. So your dog agrees with me. We are powerful. We are powerful, and we can uplift. See, even for the animals. Thank you, honey. Thank you.
So Brenda, what is the fear? Is there anything specific of fear of that you live with? If you don't mind expanding on that?
Well, Brenda, if I could say, is looking at fear for what it is. Fear of what is, that's a good question Kelly asked. Looking at fear for what it is, and what part of you is fearful of, and start to understand that if you look at fear like an object in front of you and start feeding it love and light, complete pure light, and see what transform, let's see what change.
Yeah, I like that. And Mark is right on. God does not want you to have fear. God is love. It's all about being in a place of love.
Prime creator. Yeah, divine source. Yes. There is no fear.
Yeah, there's no such thing as fear. It's been, Mark just had a comment on here I liked, and now I can't, something about Netflix. have about promoting fear. Oh, here it is. Which is why Netflix has all these demon shows, because they want you, they want to force feed you all this negative information and this evil and this dark, and so all you're focused on is the dark, right? And you're not feeding the light.
Exactly. Yeah, good point. And what does it do? Really, what does it do? It really retracts you into primal energies where you feel disconnected from higher guidance, protection, from even your own higher self. So it's a form of illusionary state of disconnect that retracts you. So think of it, if you feel you're shrinking in out of fear, bring back this expansion. Open it up again and remind yourself, I am love, I'm a pure light, I'm a divine essence of light. And I guarantee you that that kind of energy cannot coexist in the same space as light.
Sometimes I wake up in the night and I feel dark energy around me, and I just close my eyes and get into the meditative state and focus on source energy, surrounding myself in source, and it goes away. But it's not a pleasant feeling when it happens in the middle of the night. Okay.
I understand, Kelly. I've gone through that myself, because being an Arcturian, those who are here on the planet, still in the 3D, they don't like me being on the planet. It's disruptive. But at the same time, think of it like Gandalf the Grey in the Fellowship of the Ring and or Lord of the Ring, you shall not pass. It's put your staff of light and go like, you shall not pass. You have no permission, access denied. And just go back to the light. It's like you can really send out to the torus field of your heart a powerful wave of pure heart energy. And again, it cannot coexist in that energy.
Yeah. It works every time. Whenever that dark energy, I feel it in my presence, I'm like, nope, that is not happening. Brenda expanded on her fear. She said, it started as a small child, fear of the unknown. I felt the dark presence around me for 12 years.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda, for expanding. I really appreciate that opening up. So we have to look in terms of, it is possible that when you were a child, there was just some dark beings. They can be attached sometimes to lineage. It can be also some form of contract that one of the parents or your ancestors did. And usually that's where they go to the bloodline, and then they look at the next generation. So I had a strong feeling that you're a very powerful light, and that part of what you've come to do is to clear that lineage connections, whether it's binding contracts, soul agreements, promises, vows that was made before your incarnation to your ancestors, whether it's through mother, father energies. And then I can tell that that's where you were at a time where your energy was the most vulnerable, when you were more innocent, pure, open. So remember, in the presence of light, nothing else can stand. And you can ask also the councils of light with the gatekeeper of the Akashic record to renegotiate any form of possible contract, agreement, binding energy to dark energies, to space and time throughout your entire bloodline, and then to say that it's completely voided, cut, and done, that you're free from it. That would be a great point to start.
I like that visual, like you're like taking a scissors and cutting the dark away and the fear. It's like, nope, this is not me. This is not my world.
No.
Not part of my life. All right, Brenda, I hope that helped. If you have anything to add, please write it in the comments. Steve says, can you ask about time not being real? I don't understand how time cannot exist. We know it's a 3D concept, time. Can you explain how it doesn't exist?
Well, it's a great question, Steve. So time in itself exists, but in a different shape and form. So if you look at just the history on this earth, so I always says the proof is in the pudding, okay? Look at the history on this earth. And we look at 2,000-3,000 years ago, the character of Jesus came, and then the great religion was built around him. And at some point of time, they said, no, we're going to reset the timeline. We're going to reset back to zero. So we have pre-Jesus or after Jesus or after death. So what happened with the 2,000 years of history that was reset back to zero? And the calendar was rearranged to add another month so we can have 12 months, because apparently somewhere an emperor or someone in the clergy or somebody decided it would be better. And then from there on, we have lived according to that quantification of time. So it's not the time itself that doesn't exist, it's the quantification and the perception of it. Does that make more sense that way?
All right. Steve, does that make sense? Can ask if it does not. Angela says they glorify Satan, made God out to be the bad guy. I don't know if you're referring to Netflix or what Angela, which one you're referring to on that. Okay, Mary says, my landlady strips me of my garden area and fines me $250 for not getting my dog license. You need a dog license in Oregon in her time frame. By the way, animal control is closed. I'm not successful at this time.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Well, Mary, I'm very sorry for what's going on right now. So I can see that there's a lot of restriction, like obstacle layers. So what I would do is that sit back in meditation and invite your landlady, higher self, to come and say that anything that may have come or we may have created in past life that is still unresolved, I wish to resolve it in the most peaceful and bring higher form of resolution for the highest best of all. And already talked to her in that level, I feel like there's a need for a reset, an energetic reset. When you get in life like this and everything is obstacle after obstacle like this, then it's a time to step back, ask for a reset energetically, and ask for the highest form of solution come through, for the highest and best of all, and allow the space for those solutions to come through. I hope that's...
This is Mary also, another comment from Mary. I lived in a very unsafe environment and hid much of the time in a dark attic so I would not be molested. I am quick to fall into fear. I do call Jesus by my side in my present time. It works when I think to.
Well, the fact that you lived in a very unsafe environment and you are hiding this way, if you look at what is the same patterns is being reproduced in your life right now with your landlady being the bad guy, in storing, stripping away rights, imposing fees, feeling obstacle, those are great, great needs to heal that big root of what it was to feel, to live in this unsafe place, and to go through the level of trauma. So at this point of time, it's about healing soul aspect of you, releasing the deep trauma layers stored in your body and your energy field at the soul level and your emotional field. And to say, I declare on this time that I'm a sovereign, complete, safe, powerful being of light. And you can have the power to change the paradigm, change the directions, that moving forward, positive, uplifting, people of integrity come your way, and you start living in a way that life has other aspects for you. At the same time, those deep traumatic layers need to be healed. And it starts right there. So I can see the ripple effect of what's going on with your landlady, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, I hope that helps, Mary.
Yeah, definitely.
Very sweet
Many
lady.
blessings.
She's very supportive. She's always in here. We love her. And Auntie Nellie too. Auntie Nellie says, great energy. Love it. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
I like this too, Angela wrote. Ask Archangel Michael to surround you with his blue flame of protection. That's lovely.
Absolutely. Absolutely well said, Angela.
Yeah. Doubts and questions don't lead to lies. They lead to answers. Exactly. Okay, here's another. Steve says, he was asking about time not existing. He's like, is time in the fifth dimension? It sounds like they have changed our timeline in the third dimension. Is time different in the fifth dimension? Did I say that right?
Well, again, we need to reprogram our mind because those concept of time has been very much ingrained. So we get a little bit get confused. There's confusion or get confused with semantics. Dimensions is a vibrational state. It's not necessarily a time. And we're so ingrained in terms of living by time. I have to be there on time. I wake up 6 in the morning. I gotta go to work. So Steve, what I am suggesting for you is step outside the box of time and allow yourself to evolve, raise your frequency. Dimensions or vibrational state. They're not time. So this is why also that the quantification of it is helping us to set ourselves free from that pre-concept of time that we a little bit intermingled with dimension. Yes, the third dimensional time construct, the linear way of quantifying time to calendar, time, clocks, it's part of dimension because it's been implemented here. And that's another aspect of the structure of that third dimensional reality that we are dismantling, so we can return living more in the flow of universal time, which is in a higher vibrational state within the fifth dimensional reality. I hope that brings more clarification.
So if we can live in fifth dimension right now, which we can, if we choose to let go of everything and be in fifth dimension where there is no time, but we're still in this 3D world, how does that work then? That does live by time.
Well, again, they're a concept. So the more we retrain our mind to think about universal, the answer is obvious, is have you noticed lately that the days and the weeks and the months seems to go faster? Do you notice that 24 hours feel almost like more like 18 hours? Have you felt an acceleration of time where, gosh, it just go by? I've been sitting here talking with my friends. It's been 2 hours. It felt like 10. Or we start the week on a Monday, and next thing I know, we're already Friday. There's an acceleration of the way the concept of time. This is something that's going to take. It's going to take practice. So give yourself the space and time to redefine and live. It's more experiential. And the more you open in consciousness, the more you raise your frequency and you open more to conduit as a conduit of light, you'll understand naturally those notions. But it's something that's been very ingrained here. So just take it for what it is. Dimensions is vibrational state. And living in time is how we have been abiding relating to each other. There's 30 days in a month, 12 months to a calendar. There's 24 hours to a day. That is a false concept of time. Just keep it that way for now and allow yourself to ask your higher self to guide you. And you will see over time, we will all collectively. So many people tells me, my gosh, time feels different. It feels like it's speed up. We just start a month. We're already at the end. It's just, I feel like where time is going, I feel like it's slipping through my fingers. That's a sign. There's an acceleration. We're moving away from being so limited and fragmented into that linear way of perceiving time.
All right. But like whenever you say you want to go meet someone, like, okay, 2:00 on Monday, I'll see you.
Yeah.
There's a time you gotta, like, you agree on a time and when to meet someone, and that is time, right?
It's a perception of time within this reality.
Yes. But you have to use that in order to know what time it is you want to see someone or when you want to do something. Otherwise, how do you ever connect?
That's an old pattern that we are getting out. And that's also part of the acceleration of consciousness. We are returning to be living in much more in sync with the pulse of nature, the pulse of the universe. So you're thinking still 3D while wanting to think about 5D. So there's a discrepancy here.
Right. Now I get it. Okay. Karen says her and her mom don't get along.
I do not know, Karen. This is something that would be more personal digging into. There may be past life contract. Maybe you switch roles. And now you're here to resolve past issue. This is more complex. I don't have the answer without even seeing you on the screen, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, Angela. 24 hours feels like 8 hours. It does. It does fly by.
See? Yeah.
It's almost June. Okay, Brenda says, I feel like when there is no time, everyone is more telepathic and intuitive, and appointments and meetings will happen naturally.
Oh, thank you, Brenda.
Speaking our language.
Okay.
Yeah, throw out the calendar on your watch.
More organic. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I love it. I've been noticing people talking about time going faster for over 10 years because I make fun of it every year when people say it. I know every year, especially the people that are older, they always say, "Time, when you get older, time flies by."
That's another 3D cliche.
Yep. Right. Well, Mark, we don't know about the holidays on the wrong dates. I think you asked about that earlier.
Well, again, what is it we're extracting the most on a positive note here, Mark, is that we know that the calendar in itself, the holidays, Easter, all of this, everything has been put in place in a very three-dimensional way. We know that we understand that there's a lot that is coming to the surface, purging. I hear a lot in people saying, I feel like my life been not validating anymore. I've done all this work in vain. We've been lied to. We've been deceived. Now remember that what you're here on the planet for. Now we're here to finally transcend beyond a very old matrix reality that has been put in place with sub-reality, illusionary paradigms, concept, like time, like education, and all of this. So we're here to transcend all of this. Stay focused on that. So remind yourself, what am I here for? And allow that to come through. It's what it's called activating your divine blueprint. You're here by soul design.
One Present Heart says, what do you recommend to access higher self?
Oh, I like that question. Thank you. One of the best way to higher self is to your heart. The stronger, the more healed, the more open your heart, the clearer your connection. All you have to do is ask, I wish to connect to my higher self now. Breathe into the gateway of your heart and let it come to you. Your higher self is you in a higher divine way, unobstructed by the three-dimensional reality. So removing filters, removing self-doubt, opening your heart, heal the wounds of the past. You're opening naturally to a clear conduit of communication that already is encoded within you. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I just get quiet, and throughout the day, especially when you're in nature, it's so easy to connect to spirit, to source energy. You're just getting quiet, or put on a song that takes you there, takes you out of the chaos or whatever you're surrounded in. And that's like, I have some quick methods to do it. Or taking a bath.
Water.
Love it. Or just sitting and cuddling with this little guy is a direct source too. Who wouldn't want to cuddle with him?
Everyone. I want to cuddle with him.
You do, Sammy. You should start charging. You can start paying rent.
No, he's too cute. He said, my cuteness is paying for everything. This is what I'm here for.
I know. Every time I buy all those treats, I know. All right. Do you guys have any more comments or questions before we close this out? We've already been going an hour and 20 minutes, Viviane. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Do you work with people individually, or how? Sit over there, little man.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good question. I do provide a private consultation that are very tailored to you, especially to our signature modality called the Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing. It's very vast. We go deep at multitude level. Right now I am booked all the way to August, but there's still There will be more openings coming in. Yes, I'm very blessed. We're offering also group healing. We're going to start this month on the 22nd. We're using a beautiful meeting platform called Crowdcast, which is very user friendly. So we're implementing more group healing opportunities as in addition to the private. And then when my calendar reopened again in August, I think that right now I'm already getting opening for August and I'm getting new bookings for that month. There's new packages, new service, new ways that we want to implement. So we're constantly expanding our ways to support everyone as we are evolving and shifting and going back into living in harmony.
Steve wants to play golf in the fifth dimension.
Well,
You
fifth
will.
dimension, maybe it will be a telepathic version of golf. That can be something you maybe bring. Who knows, right?
Well, I want to play golf also in the fifth dimension. Okay. Chemtrails. Any thoughts on chemtrails?
Again, I'm not here for that. I'm here for other purpose. We don't dwell on that.
Okay, calm down. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. It was great, Viviane, having you here. I love it.
Yes.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
answering
much,
all the questions. You are a wealth of knowledge, and we will have to have you back for sure. And by the way, guys, just so you know, I did ask her earlier if she could, I told her about my connection with Perry. I'm like, can you talk to Perry? And she doesn't really communicate with Grays too much. Is that correct?
True. There's some exception. I have worked with gray human hybrid before, but in a very limiting state. This civilization or anything that more is coming from Lisita Ridiculi, my team put filters around me. There's purpose for that. It's just they have their reason and I trust that explicitly. Again, no labels. It's just the way it is. But in that particular case, depending on the state of awareness, the state of consciousness, I might be granted permission to open a window, do the communication, and close that window again. So it's possible.
All right. Here's hoping. You can talk to Perry. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Will you stay online for a minute, Viviane?
Yes, okay. Of course. It's been a pleasure, everyone. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks for everyone.
Much love.
Joining and all your comments.